Hey, what's up, everybody? BDL44 coming at you another video. All right, now we're previewing the Philadelphia 76ers and the Miami Heat Game 4 in Philadelphia today at 5 o'clock Pacific, 8 o'clock Eastern. Um, my understanding of the last game was essentially this. Joel Embiid came back. That slipped everybody else into their proper spots defensively, and they were able to get out and after it against a Miami Heat team who was reincorporating Kyle Lowry into their situation, and thus, because of it, couldn't get their offense going. And they had 14 assists as a team, only 11 turnovers to the Philadelphia 76ers, 18 turnovers. But ultimately, their percentages shooting the ball were low across the board. So Philly couldn't throw a rock in the ocean, and as a result, only had 79 points. You don't, excuse me, that was Miami, and you don't expect that to happen again. Now, Joel Embiid, we had a conversation about that where he was left in the game a little longer than he should have, even in this game. They were up by a trillion. Miami was struggling scoring. It was only a few minutes left and he was still on the floor. It was a situation where he was about to get hit in the face. I guess he was able to avoid that, but he was holding his head. He was covering himself. You could see he was very much affected by the injury. It was said that he couldn't even look at his telephone screen because it hurt his brain like a few days ago, and now he's back on the court with a mask. This was a very serious facial injury for him. And my whole point for the Philadelphia 76ers and many other teams in these playoffs is to just be on guard for your teammates' health. I understand it's the playoffs, it's a gladiator sport or what have you. Guys want to, put their bodies on the line and all that, but you do have to guard against the long-term aspect of things, and most importantly, the short-term, long-term, which is your playoffs, the rest of your playoffs. You're going to need your guys. So if they're getting beat up in the second round, or if they're taking on injuries that are going to hamper them now, it's going to affect you later. And it's just, best strategy to play it cautious and keep balance there. So that's what I'm going to be paying attention to. How is Joel Embiid going to be used today? How is Kyle Lowry going to be used today? Those are questions. Will they even play? I'd imagine Joel is definitely suiting up, but Kyle, he struggled quite a bit. They were doing very well without him. I'd sit him right back down. I really would. They have too many players on the bench that can help them. The Miami Heat really, really struggled, of course, shooting the ball, as we're saying. A lot of that falls on Max Strus, who was 3 of 11 threes, if I'm not mistaken. He's kind of lost his way in this series after having a really good series against the Atlanta Hawks. You want to see the Miami others find their way, and most importantly, you want to see Spoelstra kind of mix it up a little bit. He's been leaning on some guys who I don't even think are his best guys, but have been playing well. And now it's time to lean on some other guys to give those guys a break. So I think he should up the usage of guys like Duncan Robinson, Victor Oladipo, and kind of bring down the Max Struses and the Gabe Vincents, of whom have played a lot of basketball over the last 2 weeks, and are exerting a lot of energy on the defensive end. So their shot is not falling. And I think it might have something to do with that, as I've been saying a lot in these videos lately. So just keep an eye open on for the three-point shooting of the Miami Heat, because they are not a great three-point shooting team, but they do need to hit their threes if they're going to win in this series, especially if Joel's on the floor. He's going to force them to shoot more of them. All right, so Tyrese Maxey, he's been finding his way after starting off this series in these playoffs a little slow for his standards. Had a good game 2. Solid game 3 too. He came back very strong in game 3, if I'm not mistaken. That was the game where he really went off in the second half after not having a very good first half. I think that's how that went. But the point is, he's starting to get it going. He's starting to really step into his own in his role on this team, especially when Joel comes back. It slips him back into his regular spot, and I think that's why you're seeing him play better. That's going to need to continue. He's going to have to stay aggressive and not defer to James Harden. You're the number 2 on that team now, and I'm preaching that. Tyrese Maxey is number 2 in the pecking order of the Philadelphia 76ers. James Harden is maybe 3 or 4 behind Tobias Harris, possibly. I'm just being real with y'all. James Harden is a facilitator who can assist you in scoring the ball. And if you think of him like that and use him that way, you're going to get the most out of him. But if you're still looking for him to give you 40 points, 50 points, you're misrepresenting what it is that he's able to do at this time. So as long as he's upwards of 8 and 9 assists a game, give me 18 points, because I know he can do that. That's all I'm looking for. Tyrese Maxey is the guy who's going to give me 28 points, 30 points. I want more from Maxey, and I'm at a point where I expect it from him. You can't show me throughout the regular season that you can drop 40, drop 30, do all this, and then when the playoffs come around, you can't give me that. I can't expect that from you. I'm not gonna roll. I'm not rolling with that. The defense is not focused all on him like that, and he should be able to move around. It's not like they're KDing him or nothing like that. So Tyrese Maxey should continue to attack, and if he does that, he gives his team a great chance to win with Joel on the floor. And of course, you want to see more out of the Philadelphia 76ers others. My goodness, man, their bench is horrible. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I think this is the worst bench left in the playoffs by a long country mile. George Niang, Paul Reed, those guys are going to have to play well. Shake Milton with the minutes given. Furkan Korkmaz. I personally think Furkan Korkmaz is severely underutilized, severely underappreciated within this system. They need shooting, and he's literally their best shooter. And they don't use him. I don't know if it's because he's poor defensively. I don't watch him, so I don't know if he's just like secretly sucks or something. But every time I see him play, he balls out. So I expect of him to at least hit some threes. And when he gets hot, he's a good night. And that's why I'm so confused why he's not being utilized. He's by far your most underutilized offensive weapon. By far. Matisse Thybulle, I still wrestle with the defensive players' production. I don't think I view it properly just yet. I'm still getting around to understanding that it's okay to see a guy like Matisse Thybulle give me 4 points, no rebounds, and a steal, and see that he's had a good game. Because a guy like that can affect so many different things that is never going to show up on the stat sheet. Certain screens, bumping a guy, affecting shots without blocking them, you know what I mean? So like for example, Dylan Brooks in another series can have a horrible shooting night, but then you remove him from the situation and the defense falls apart. That's who Matisse is if utilized properly. But when you look at his production, you say, my God, man, I've given you all these minutes and this is all you're giving the bench. It's not that Matisse is not good enough in a nutshell. He who he is exactly who he needs to be. The problem is what other people are doing around him on that bench, which is absolutely nothing. So what he needs to be able to do is contribute to the scoring column in order for Philadelphia to get that bench production that's not being given to them. But that's not his game. And they do have him coming off the bench. So in my mind, if I'm coach, I'm actually considering moving one of those star players that are in my starting lineup to my bench so that I can get that punch in my second unit that I don't get at all from anyone ever, literally. So that's like, I don't know if you can effectively move James Harden to the bench and keep cohesiveness in your starting lineup. I think you need him to facilitate. Maybe I even try to bring in Tyrese Maxey off the bench. Not for any other reason, literally any other reason, than I just need some production on it. And I don't know if I can move any of those other players out of that lineup and get the effect that I'm looking for. Like if I move Tobias Harris out of the starting lineup, I think that severely hampers what they're doing on both sides of the floor with that starting lineup. If I remove James Harden again, the facilitation, I'm not sure anybody's going to be looking to help everybody get their shot. It's like Tyrese Maxey probably gives me that best effect. But I don't like removing him, obviously, because he's literally my second best player. So, it's just how do you get something out of your bench? That's what I'm looking for from Doc Rivers. I was lucky enough to win Game 3. Joel is back now, but we're still going to need to get some scoring because at the end of the day, you won a game where Miami only scored 79 points. And you as a team only scored 99 points or whatever it was. So if that's the case, if you think you're going to win games without scoring 100 points, nope. That's rare, man. That's rare. Your defense is solid, but it ain't that. You're not going to be able to keep them under 30-something% every night, 20% from the three. It's not going to happen. So you got to find that production. So that's pretty much the focus there, man. Just not seeing enough of Philly's bench at all. Miami's bench, they're just gonna have to shuffle some things around so guys can get some rest, man. They're relying on guys that are should not be relied upon as much as they are. And granted, their system allows them to, but yeah, no. And last but not least is Bam Adebayo. Um, I understand he's working his way back from injury, right? So even though he's been able to play all these games, he too, just like Joel, probably should be resting a little bit. But what you want from him is to just continue to find a shot. He doesn't really look for a shot like he should. He's a rebounder, defensive player, and you love the fact that he gives you so much on that side. But he has an imposing body that should be able to score buckets. And I've seen him score. He has a package of basically at 3 levels. When he came to this game, he could do everything. He wouldn't, anything he couldn't do. He can even dribble. He's a good passer, so you just want to see him continue to cultivate the offensive side of his game, not just focus on the rebounding and defensive side of things, because he's not limited to that naturally. Some guys are. Bam isn't. So I know the Miami Heat run things a certain way, and they like him being their defensive anchor. But I think you can get more out of him offensively, and you got to keep drilling that into him. So, yeah, he doesn't have to just be a defensive player. No, they're guys like Anthony Davis and Giannis Antetokounmpo. They destroy both sides of the floor. You can do that too, Bam. Definitely. So that's what I got to say. And, of course, Jimmy Butler needs all the credit in the world. He doesn't get enough credit. He's one of the best players in all of basketball. Jimmy Butler is freaking amazing. He steps his game up in the playoffs. And the only reason why people don't look at him as one of the great playoff performers is because he doesn't have a championship. But if you look at the numbers he put up against my Lakers in that bubble, you understand he's one of the great playoff performers. And he's continuing to do that in these playoffs. Jimmy Butler. Do not sleep on a superstar named Jimmy Butler. So that's what I got to say, man. Tonight, I expect him to have a big game if he's out there. I don't know. He's probably battling injuries, too. Maybe they rest him. Probably not. But I want to see Jimmy Butler go off because, quite honestly, I like being right. So that's what it is, man. BDF 44, if I'm expecting anything to happen tonight, I'm expecting a very tough game. Philly's coming off a situation where they were really doing well on the defensive end. Miami played right into their hands by bricking everything. And now it's about Joel Embiid coming back, facing those concerns about his health, both hand and eye, and continuing to give his team what he can. I never will expect him in this circumstance to give me over 25 points. I want everybody to understand that. Joel Embiid is he's not expected to do the 40-point, 18 rebound thing with these injuries. If he gives you 15 and 10, you feel me? Like literally, because that's what he's going to be able to give you with these injuries like that. And not only that, but you don't really need more out of him than that. You just need him to be big and to be in his place so that everybody else can be themselves on the basketball court. That way, Tyrese Maxey, Tobias Harris, and James Harden can do that heavy lifting of that scoring. He can fall into the role that we just described it with Bam, to where you focus more on defense and not as much on offense as you usually do. That way they can cut down on the swiping at the hand and more chances of him getting hit in the face. This is a damn shame that Daryl Morey didn't get them a center, man. You could have picked up anybody, just a guy, man. But now you're relying upon DeAndre Jordan to give you those backup minutes, and that is not going to be enough, of course. So I encourage Doc Rivers to explore small ball lineups, even though we know how stubborn he can be about stuff. Thibault and Harris can both run small ball center, man. Utilize that. Do not go to DeAndre Jordan and let things fall apart just because that's your boy. That is a stupid reason to force your team into a losing situation. If you want to be DeAndre's friend, help him win. Sit him down. So that's what I got to say, man. BDF 44. I have something for you guys at the end of this game, of course. My prediction, I didn't give you one. I avoided that. But I do think this series extends. I'm going to give Philly another game at home. I am. I'm going to give them another game at home tonight. I'm just going to say Philly wins this game and let it be what it is. BDF 44. Thank y'all for watching. I'm out.